Welcome to the Library Show. Today is a special treat. It is a show all about a musical concert that will be taking place this month. And I hope you'll stay tuned and listen to everything that we have to say, which will include some very beautiful music in the second part. We have Gilya Hodos with us again. Gilya, welcome back to the Library Show.
Thank you so much, Lenore. It's always a pleasure to be here.
It's great. Tell me a little bit about this concert, or tell this audience about this concert that's coming up this month, please.
So the program is going to take place on Sunday, March 3rd at 2 p.m. And the program will be held at the Levering Mill Tribute House, which is at 382 Bala Avenue, where we have been holding our concerts for almost a decade now. It's a beautiful, beautiful space that reminds me of an 18th century salon. And one of the things that's so wonderful about that space is for the kind of program that we're bringing to you in March, it just enhances the overall sound of the instruments. It's just so acoustically resonant, and it's a beautiful, intimate space where audience members can really interact with the musicians. So it very much feels like you're in somebody's beautiful home listening to beautiful music.
I love the fact that there's so much natural light in that room because it's all glass doors all around. So it really feels even more special, almost as if you're indoors and outdoors at the same time, listening to this great music. Tell us a little bit about this occasion, what it's about.
So this program is a very unusual combination of instruments. We're going to be presenting a program with violin, guitar, and piano. And it's not a combination that you typically hear very frequently. One of the reasons that it works so well is that, especially in this space, is that the warmth and resonance of the room really enhances the natural timbres of the instruments themselves. So the program is entitled Songs Without Words, and it's going to be a musical travelogue. There'll be music from Spain, Hungary, Argentina, Italy. It's a very imaginative and unusual musical song tour, if you will. And we're very fortunate to have two very special musicians joining in that. Nancy Bean, who is just a consummate violinist and violist, as well as Allen Krantz, who is a magnificent guitarist. Allen and I have played together for many, many years. And Nancy and Allen have actually played together for, I think, over 3 decades. But we have never presented a program with these 3 instruments together before. So it's really very special to be able to bring these instruments together.
One of the other things that I like about these concerts is that it's meant for all ages. So if there are young kids who are studying guitar or people studying violin, everybody can come based on their love of music and their love of these particular instruments as well. So that's an extra kick to this.
Right. So these are designed as family concerts. As you know, Lenore, they are free and open to the community. Everybody is welcome. We have started something new that was really very successful in our last concert, where we invited patrons who wanted to donate $100 or more, a special opportunity to meet with the musicians for, a half hour, 20 minutes, half hour prior to the concert. And it was very successful with our fall concert where we had the chivalrous crickets. People really enjoyed getting a chance to meet the musicians. And of course, they had preferential seating in the hall. It's not a typical concert hall where the seats are on risers. Everybody's on one level because you're like in a salon, as if you were in someone's home. So those people who were able to donate, we were able to give them preferential seating. So they had much more intimate contact with the musicians during the performance itself. So we're looking forward to doing that as well.
Okay. And will there be actual tickets for this that people need to get?
So unless you are, tickets can be gotten at the door. If you would like to donate in advance for time to meet with the musicians and having those special seats, we would appreciate if the check was sent to the library and marked in the memo for that it was for the concert. That would be wonderful. Very helpful.
Everybody is looking forward to it. Thank you, Gilya. We're going to come back in just a moment with the musicians. So stay tuned, please.
So we're going to play a piece called La Romanesca by Fernando Sor, who was a very important early guitar composer. He lived more or less at Beethoven's time. He wrote almost all solo guitar music, some guitar duets, and this is the only piece of chamber music that we have of his, and it's almost more of a folk song than anything else. So La Romanesca by Fernando Sor.
I'm going to play a piece for solo viola called Danza per viola da braccio by Dr. Martin Hayworth. Dr. Martin Hayworth is a retired physician living in Philadelphia, and the title of the piece, Danza per viola da braccio, means literally for the viola of the arm, to differentiate it from the viola da gamba, which was played more like a cello between the legs, the viola of the legs. So here is the Danza per viola da braccio by Dr. Martin Hayworth.
Hello, welcome back. We have Nancy Bean, as Gilya told you a moment ago, and Allen Krantz, and they're going to talk about something very interesting to me, and I hope to you, and that is what instruments they'll be playing in this concert. Nancy, I saw you take a rather large-looking instrument out of a case just a few moments ago. Can you tell our audience about it, please?
Yes, this is my Pellegrina viola, and you might see that it's a rather unusual design, does not look like a normal viola, and it is a very special design. There's only one maker in the entire world who is making violas like this with this design. And he was trying to solve the dilemma of today's modern violist. In the earliest days of the viola, the parts that the viola was called upon to play were not very difficult. So the fact that the viola was so much larger than the violin didn't really matter because the parts that it was asked to play were not so difficult. But today's modern violist is asked to play concertos every bit as difficult as today's violinist. So suddenly the fact that the viola was so much bigger became more of an issue. So the first question that this maker had to answer for himself was, does a viola have to be shaped in the traditional way in order to sound like a viola? Or can I radically change the design and it will still sound like a viola? He discovered that it did still sound like a viola. And by creating this unusual shape, he has made a resonating chamber of a really large viola. But by putting these extra parts out to the side, he's created an instrument that the part that the player has to actually reach around is the size of a very small viola. So you get the sound, the deep, dark, rich sound of a large viola with the effort of playing a small one. So I feel very lucky to have one of these instruments. He has now retired from making them. His name is David Ravinus, and he has only made about 54, I think, that are in the entire world. And I've got one.
Well, that's terrific. Are those 50, the other 53 being used in concert settings, or are they just in private hands and people playing them for their own enjoyment? So that makes it more special that you're playing for us, or will be.
They are all over the place. I know there's one in the Netherlands, and there are a couple in other parts of Europe. There was one on the first stand of the San Francisco Symphony for a lot of years. He recently retired. Some are in private hands where people just play them for themselves, but I think a lot of them are in the hands of chamber musicians who play them in concerts. It's a very small club of 54 people. I've only met one other owner of a Pellegrino viola.
Wow, that is fascinating. And Alan, you told me that there's something very special about your guitar too. Maybe you could share that with our audience, please?
Sure. I'm playing these days. It's a 7-string guitar. And this was something I started experimenting with during the pandemic. And I ordered a guitar and I thought I would just fool around with it. And I fell in love with it. And it's a whole world for me. So if people are watching me play a guitar and they think they're seeing something, they're right. There's an extra string.
Sort of like having an extra thumb, but an extra string on the guitar.
And it's amazing to me. It's taken a lot to get used to that one extra string. It's after a whole life with 6 strings, it's the 7th string is odd.
Is there
So
any
wonderful.
way? Is there any way to encapsulate the difference in the sound that 7th string makes?
It adds some resonance, but what it really does is it opens up what I can play. Normally, you play with a guitar with an E string. Very often, we tune that E string to D. Now I have both.
So you essentially have an extra note that you can play.
And it makes an amazing difference in terms of what music is available, and especially arrangement, transcriptions. Yeah, it's really been quite something.
So if a piece had been written for a normal guitar with a fewer number of strings, you could look at pieces that were written for other instruments and play it with your guitar. Is that
exactly?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's so interesting because when you hear music on a regular basis and you see that this is arranged by so-and-so or arranged by somebody else, this is something where the arrangement is influenced and created by that 7th string, which is fun.
It helps. I'm playing some Mozart right now that is made infinitely more available by having both a low E and a low D. Yeah.
Wow.
And Alan's actually being very modest here because you made a great segue for me, Lenore. Alan is actually a phenomenal composer in his own right and has transcribed many pieces that we've performed together, but composes his own original music as well. So that he has this extra string is really, I think, particularly apropos, as he has the knowledge and the ability to reach out to a much wider range of repertoire and transcribe it for the guitar and other instruments.
So his imagination can be at play here in a much broader way. That's terrific.
Well, and his magnificent skills as a composer and musician.
Wonderful.